Hello, everyone. Welcome to another fun Friday edition of the Audiophiles live here. We've got a blockbuster, I should put my back, blockbuster group today. I'm here at the Hi-Fi Center, 433 Carroll, downtown Vancouver. If you're ever in the area, come and visit. Now let's go to my panel. I'm excited to introduce everyone here. Here they are. Wow. Guys, thank you. Thank you for showing up today. I'm going to start, ladies first, of course. Melinda Murphy. Now I got a little introduction for you here. I'm going to put you on full screen because you know what I'm going to do, right? You probably know what I'm going to do already. So here we go. I'm introducing Melinda Murphy. Here's her YouTube channel here. There it is there. If you haven't subscribed, take a look. She did a really good review of Hotel California today by MoFi. Now, Melinda, I always say this. You live in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Yes.
Okay. Apparently it's the barbecue capital of the world, I've been told. And then Melinda is also, this is the most famous person in Owensboro, but Melinda Murphy is the second most famous person. So welcome to the show.
Definitely. And it's there's a big difference between Johnny Depp and me, but yes.
I'd rather hang out with you than Johnny Depp. So so you know.
Thank you. I've never seen him out and about around here, but
there you go. So that was Melinda. Thank you for joining us today in this fun roundtable. I'll go to Mike Esposito here. Mike, welcome to the roundtable, your inaugural show. If you don't know, I'm sure everyone knows Mike. Everyone knows Mike, but Mike is the owner of the Ingroove in Phoenix, Arizona. There it is there, and we'll talk more about record sales and some of the stuff that you're doing right now and some of your favorite records. Thanks for joining us today. Super excited to have you on. I know I've tried for a while in the past, so I'm glad we finally were able to do this. This has been great. And then, friend of the show, here he is. Doesn't need an introduction, but I'll give him one anyways. Cohearent Audio's Kevin Gray, master engineer of everything. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Good to be here.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Then we have, here he is, from Colorado, close to Denver, Tim, University of Vinyl. Oh, that's Melinda's. Oh, God. Tim, University of Vinyl. Subscribe to his channel if he hasn't already. Some great stuff on there. You did a really good thing on on Zeppelin the other day. I really enjoyed that one. Thanks for putting that one up. That's a really good video. So have a look at that one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome and happy Friday, Labor Day weekend, my favorite long weekend of the year.
It's all happening.
Okay, hang on. You guys will love this. And last but not least, Mazzy. A week from today, Mazzy will be in studio with me, exactly a week today for the show. Now, I'm going to introduce Mazzy. He's probably the 13th most famous person in Seattle, just so everyone knows that. So I'm really happy to have him on the show today. Thank you for being the 13th most famous person in Seattle coming on the show. So thank you so much for that. So news today, releases today. Who wants to go first? Tell me. Oh, I know who wants to go first. Melinda, go.
Hotel California, the Eagles. This is absolutely amazing. I've been waiting for such a long time to get this release. It is incredible. I'm thrilled. So.
Yeah, have you listened to it compared to like a original Asylum, or do you have
I compared it to the original Mobile Fidelity that came out in 1984, and I also have a first pressing. It's a Japanese pressing, but it bested the U.S. pressing that I had at the time. That was a few years ago. I think it might have been just like a sound issue of clicks and pops. I'm not sure. But, I mean, the others sound so good that I was a little worried. I always want to cheer on a music label when they take on something like this. And I wondered, is it going to sound as good as what they did before? Can Mobile Fidelity best itself? And, yes, Krieg Wunderlich did a fantastic job on here. I love it. I absolutely love it. The sound quality is great. The bass is amazing. It just sounds so beautiful. The voices are so natural. The guitars sound natural. It's an incredible release, and they've done a great job with these one steps with the Eagles. But I think as good as the others are, this one might be the best one yet. Wow. So I'm really happy with it.
And the Beverly Hills Hotel looks better than ever on that picture. And
let me see that. Let me see the cover, Melinda. Put it up closer.
Yes. There's something different about the cover. The texture feels a little different. It doesn't get those fingerprints that maybe some of the others have in the past. I'm really delighted with it. It's beautiful. Take a look at these guys, you guys. They put in the poster. You look at this picture of these guys. Let me turn it right. And you wonder, how did these guys make this masterpiece of a record?
That's definitely
Silver one. It's crazy.
That's definitely a
It's like Old
cocaine
West
infused
Outlaws.
record. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you definitely have the Mercedes Benz. Then you like that album, right?
Now,
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
does Kevin or anyone know who cut? I have a copy of my original. I didn't bring it up, but who cut the original Asylum? Do you know?
I
Lee-
tried to find
Lee
that
Hulk-
out on my Japanese pressing, and I couldn't get the information. Tim, do you know?
Sterling Lee Hoko.
Yeah. Okay.
I knew it was Sterling Sound, but I didn't know who the.
Because I have a promo copy, Asylum promo copy, which sounds great. I mean, but
Yes.
those Asylum records sound really good around that mid 70s.
And your 84 cut was cut by Jack Hunt, actually, not
Okay,
Stan
I
Rickers.
wondered about that too.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
now that you said that makes sense. I looked at the dead wax, but I couldn't decipher.
Yeah, Jack Hunt, and he also was the one that cut the Sgt. Pepper mo-fi way back when. Yeah, and Jack Hunt also cut the Sgt. Pepper, that really expensive one, Mazzy. It's the
UHQR?
not the UHQR. That was Stan Ricker. What am I thinking? It starts with an N, not Nautilus. Help me. Nimbus. He did the Nimbus. He did the Nimbus Sgt. Pepper, which you can't find for under like probably $2,000 right now. And that's supposed to sound really good too. So yeah.
Hey, I watched Melinda's video just before I hopped on here, and very. I'm like, I've got an itchy finger now to add this to my cart with Mike. So
it's really incredible.
Very
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not what I'd call a professional reviewer by any stretch of the imagination, but I've been listening to records for a long time, and I know this album very well. And to hear the details, like the intro into Life in the Fast Lane, where there's this drum and bass that boom, 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 boom. I mean, it really hits you on this version. And Hotel California sounds beautiful. Wasted Time. Don Henley's vocals are incredible. And I also think that super vinyl formula is really important for those quiet parts. So, I mean, it's a winner to me. That's just my opinion. And I know we all have different ears, different stereo equipment, but I absolutely love this release. I think.
How are the vocals? My favorite thing on that are the vocals on New Kid in Town.
Yeah.
Yes, Glenn Fry was saying, Don Henley has the best vocals in this group. Why wouldn't we use him more? But I hear New Kid in Town on this new One Step, and it's like, I don't know. You sound pretty good, Glenn Fry. I mean, it's really amazing.
Yeah.
But Don Henley, wow. On Victim of Love and The Last Resort. I mean, this is just a tour de force album, and I've never heard it sound better. Like, I can't stop smiling after hearing it. And I do have a major upgrade in my stereo equipment as well, and I'm sure that plays a part in it.
Yeah.
But even testing all of these different records on the stereo equipment, this is a standout. I'm so happy. I'm just so unbelievably
My
happy.
birthday's a year from now.
Oh God, here we go.
I'm kidding.
Mike Esposito, I mean, have you had a chance to listen to Hotel California? I'm curious to know if you have.
Well, actually, I got a copy this morning, and I listened to half of it. And it's actually going to be the next shootout video I do. I hate the Eagles. Did I mention that?
I never knew that.
I don't like the Eagles. I'm upset that I'm going to do a shootout on this because I'm going to end up having to listen to multiple copies of the Eagles. But I'm going to. But I'm not a fan of the Eagles. I don't ever need to hear Hotel California ever again in my entire life. But I've got maybe 20 copies of this album at home. So I figured when this came out, I was going to use this opportunity to do a shootout of it. It's hard for me to do a proper comparison at the store because I have 2 line array speakers that are about 50 foot apart, and where I sit at the desk area is really close to the right speaker, and then 50 feet in the distance is my left speaker. So I can't really properly listen to an album here at the shop, but I'll take it home and give it a listen. It only came out a couple hours ago. I got it delivered a couple hours ago, so I'll take one for the team. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. It's funny how people love to either they love them or they love to hate the Eagles.
I say hate. I don't actually hate the Eagles.
Yeah,
I just don't ever need to listen to the Eagles again. I find that to be the case with most things that I heard incessantly on the radio
But wasn't
You know.
Rumors the same? That Rumors,
Yeah.
Eagles, and Frampton Comes Alive. That's
Well,
what
I, well, I know, Mike. I know that you don't want to listen to Asia ever again, so I'm not sure if you're going to do a shoot of Asia when it comes out with the
I
UHQR.
will, but that was difficult. I'm telling you, listening to Peg like 40 times in a row.
Yeah. So here's a question I want the viewers to sort of know. So when you do your shootout, are you listening to one particular song 40 times, or is it just you got 20 different Eagles albums to go through? Hotel California. What do you like? You can't listen to the whole album. Like, are you picking one or two tracks?
I typically will listen to, if it's close, I'm listening to the whole album. But I do a lot of like, I'll do a lot of import pressings. I don't need to listen to an entire copy of Dark Side of the Moon from Cambodia. I kind of gauge based off the first track what it's going to sound like. But, when I dial it into those top, I'll listen to the whole thing, and then I'll typically focus in on a couple of tracks. So that's typically the way I do it. I'm going to revamp my system a little bit to make things a little bit easier on myself. That's coming soon. I've got a couple of turntables on order. And when I get those turntables at the house, I'll be able to kind of do these comparisons a little easier. But it's typically on the top stuff. I'll listen to the whole album, then I'll dial it in on a couple of tracks. But yeah.
And are you taking notes throughout every like you're listening for certain things? Are you taking notes, or is it just all sort of feel for you? Like what?
The only notes I tend to take is sometimes you'll get a mastering that's wildly louder than the other. So I will typically take notes on whatever that particular pressing is. And I've got a dB meter, and I will.
We're on the air. Excuse me.
Mitch McConnell moment.
Just write a 20% tip. Give her 25%.
While he's busy, I just got a comment. I love the Eagles, but I also hate the song Hotel California. I heard it so many times. I never need to hear that song.
Did you ever cut it? Did you ever cut it?
Yes, I did for DCC.
Oh, you did? Okay. What's that part in the song? There's a part that always amazes me when I go to, there's that dead air moment that there's no air. It's like almost they cut it out, which I love. It sounds like there's no sound at all. Do you know what I'm talking about? After one,
vaguely. Yeah, I remember.
It's like a moment. Yeah.
Well, Kevin's cut of Hotel California, the DCC version, I think they're $400 retailing for, Mike, on the aftermarket now, and I mean it's a well sought after cut. The CD alone is probably going for about $100 in the retail industry right now. So it's a very sought after version of Hotel California, cut by Mr. Gray, and I think it was Hoffman as well, right, Kevin?
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's one of the 3 most desirable DCCs at this point, price wise.
What are the top DCCs, if you mind me asking, Mike, that you get a lot of inquiries about?
Well, I mean, the most valuable ones are the Hotel California, the Night at the Opera, Queen Night at the Opera. Actually, there's a test pressing maybe floating out around there of Elton John's Greatest Hits 2, which goes for big money. That was never officially released.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Also,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Elton's Greatest Hits 2.
I think that was Greatest Hits 2. Because I think Greatest Hits was the very first title that we did when they launched back into vinyl.
I seen a test pressing of Greatest Hits 2 floating around there. But the Greatest Hits 1 is also another really desirable title, DCC title. Those go for the bucks.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tim, what are you up to these days? Are you anything we can talk about in terms of new releases? I know you're a big bargain finder of different vinyl out there. You found anything interesting lately that we can discuss?
I was on vacation last week, so I'm going to be hitting some local shops this weekend. And as far as new stuff, I have pre-ordered UHQR of Relevant. I thought it was impressive that Chad is dipping into this century. So I've got that on pre-order.
You got that. Oh, I should ask, is everyone, put up your hands. I mean, obviously I know Mike, but Elephant, is anyone purchasing Elephant? Melinda? Yeah. There you go.
I'm going to get the tape of that too. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, there's a reel-to-reel. Is that it's from the, I guess there's a copy from the master, that reel-to-reel tape, right?
Probably a copy of like a safety they ran. That's generally how they do those.
Yeah. So Kevin, you have some news. I'm going to put it up. You sent me this morning, and I want to show the viewers this, and you can sort of announce what we see here. What did you send me this morning?
We just went live a week ago. Kirsten's record on Qobuz. Actually, it's also up on Spotify, iTunes, and Apple Music. Yeah, I wanted to wait until I felt that the record had sort of peaked on vinyl before I made that available. But it's up now, and it went number 2 first week. Which,
Wow.
Can I just show the viewers again?
It's also a featured album of the month with 4 titles.
Look at that. It's above Kind of Blue.
And do you, and does ever
hang
on a second. You see that it's above Kind of Blue? Do you know how much flack I got for saying that Shapes and Sounds was the next Kind of Blue of our century? People are like, what? And then it was like, hey, look, it's ahead of Kind of Blue. So there you go.
I think both you and Mike are rather vindicated by this on your rave reviews on the record.
Are you cutting? I assume you're cutting it different for digital, right?
Well, not cut. But
no, it's the same mastering.
Yeah. Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, identical.
So when you're okay, here's a question for the viewers. So you obviously recorded Kirsten. This is Kirsten Edkins' album. You mastered it. So how does the digital side work? Do you basically hook up a digital recorder then to basically capture it?
Right.
Okay. As you're mastering.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm thinking a lot of times when you see multiple cuts of albums by the same mastering engineer, it's going to be the same master, just one goes to digital file and one's to tape, right? I mean,
I can't speak for anybody else.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure everybody does it that way, but that's the way I do it.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so here's the thing. You and Mike Esposito last week got together and went and did went and watched a little concert of Kirsten Edkins, and I wanted to show a little bit of that concert for the viewers today. I was fascinated by it. I know there was a live stream on it as well, but I've got a few second clip here that Kevin sent me, so I want to go to that if you guys want to see it. It's really nice. Wow. So tell us a little bit about that concert, guys. Where was it and how was it? What was it all about?
It was at Campus Jack's in Newport Beach. And it's a nice venue. It was sold out. There were about 75 people there, I would say. It's sort of a supper club bar, so there were tables all around with people. And yeah, it was, you Mike?
It was a lot of fun. Kirsten's mom made us cookies.
Yeah,
I heard that. That's funny. Yeah, Kevin told me that one. That's so cute.
She's a trip. She's amazing. She's wonderful.
And that whole concert was actually live streamed. And I don't know where to go on YouTube right now to watch that, but you can watch that.
You could just on my latest new arrival video, I linked it, but you can also just search Kirsten Edkins and I think just Jax. It'll populate. It's pretty
definitely check it out. The whole, I think it was about an hour, 2 hour live stream, and some great. I mean, it's not just Kirsten that's there. There's other artists as well. It's really, it's
it's kind of a promo for Jax. But if you go in a half hour, that's where Kirsten starts.
It's half hour there. Yeah, I really enjoyed Kirsten's bit.
It's really well done. It's not like if we just grabbed our cell phone and started streaming from the venue. I mean, they had like 12 cameras set up. I'm guessing they got a live feed from the board. I mean, it's a really well done. It's a really well done, kind of like almost similar to when they would like live stream Coachella or something like that. I mean, it was really well done.
It wasn't a Steve Westman Roundtable, is what you're trying to say. Some professionalism there, so that's pretty good. Okay,
now, Steve.
Okay, Mazzy, you've got something to talk about. Melinda's right underneath you, so
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I want to talk about a new release of. I like the fact, even though I'm not ordering the White Stripes, that some of these reissue labels that do good work are coming into like in the last 30 years since the 90s. A lot of artists who didn't get vinyl releases first time. And I just got these and I love these now. These are the two last albums by the group Morphine. Yep. Morphine was a trio that crossed over with jazz and post-punk. It's just bass, saxophone, and drums. And they were originally on Royco disc for CDs only, and then they signed to Hollywood Records, and then for their major label, which didn't do well. And the bass, the bass player Mike, what's his name? Sandman, Mark Sandman, died on stage of a heart attack in Italy. And this was the posthumous album. These are on Light in the Attic. They sound really good. The Morphine, The Night is a double 45. This is a 33. You know, it has one of those nebulous, again, the hype sticker or the obies. It says this, and this is where some of the people always get like upset. It says, remastered from original tapes by Pete Weiss. Now, that doesn't mean they were cut from tapes. Is that true, Kevin? I mean, you don't know specifically on this one, but that could.
It's kind of a nebulous term, yes.
Yeah, right. But having said that, they do sound well. They each have books in them. But I just love the fact that people are certain labels. Light in the Attic's not an audiophile label, but they do some great archival and lost treasures. And Morphine was a pretty popular band at the time. Their second album, Cure for Pain, is known by a lot of people. I think I was in my 30s when I saw them. And just I like that stuff's coming out now. Not, you know, and I like that Jack White, even though I'm not a huge fan of that, I like that he's stepping into, you know, the last 20 years, this century.
I just want to say that since we're talking about Jack White, the last time I went record shopping in Nashville, he was in the same store as me. He was looking at cassettes. So I thought that was pretty cool being there with him.
Did you approach him? Do you know who I am?
He approached me and told me what an amazing channel I have and how much he loves it.
That's great.
No.
I told you she's the second most.
Do you know who I am, Jack?
Guys, I mean, Owensboro has, you know, Johnny Depp. Like, come on. She has nothing. They have nothing on. Like Johnny Depp. Come on. We've got Melinda Murphy. That's why Jack White knows her.
No, he did not know me at all. I left him alone because he was having a moment looking through cassettes. I didn't want to interrupt that.
Did anyone else bother him though, or was he left alone?
I didn't see anybody bother him. I think he's kind of a common known thing in Nashville. I really do. I think he just goes, and it wasn't even at Third Man. It was a different store. I just think he's a common person that people just kind of see him and they let him be. You know, it was a cool moment, and I was tempted. If I had my UHQR in my hand, I probably would have asked him for an autograph, but I decided just to leave him alone.
So we're always talking about value and budgets and, you know, great sounding records. Prestige Acoustic Sounds just released, or that's on their website. But I mean, you can see all these ones here for $40, and Kevin Gray cuts as well. One of my favorites is the Lightning Hopkins one. But Gray, again, I like the value and what you're getting for $40 for some of this stuff. Kevin, what is one of your favorites on here? Do you have one in particular that you see?
Oh man,
loaded question.
Too many
I know.
to pick from.
Sorry.
I love those titles.
I know.
Actually, Tommy Flanagan's right near the top, and then one that I don't see there is George Wallington's music for.
I just took some screenshots, but I mean, Mike,
I like most of those titles a lot.
That's a great.
Hey, at some point, I want to do a shout out.
Yeah, those. I have 25 of those records, and they're fantastic records.
Go for it right now.
Okay. So, got these from.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, from Jackpot Meters.
Oh wow.
These are the limited edition colored vinyl. There's only 500 of each of these. And they just announced the Booker T and the MGs. And I think that was 5 albums, if I recall.
4.
And if you go to their Instagram, by the way, I've just joined the 21st century, thanks to Joe Harley, and I'm on Instagram. They have got just beautiful promo videos on both the Meters and Booker T. And my wife wants to make a personal shout out to Isaac, the owner of Jackpot, for actually sending me records. And I don't get those from most of the people I cut for.
And I've asked you that many times. Do you have a test pressing of this, Kevin? Do you have? He goes, Kevin's like, no, I have nothing. I'm like, what do you mean you have nothing? You don't even get test pressings? No. I'm like, wow.
On a few things I have, you know.
Kevin has to buy his own stuff.
Yep.
I'm amazed they got those licenses. That's a cool little store in Portland. I've been there many times.
Yeah, and that's all cut from the original master tapes. Absolutely, totally.
Wow. You know, is it just that someone basically asks? I'm surprised those haven't been put out by anyone else. You know,
particularly the Booker T, I'm surprised too. Meters are
Dr. John. Did you do the Dr. John a few years ago with them? Or
Yes, I did. I've done, I think, all of their mastering. Well,
Wow.
almost all of it.
Yeah.
For like almost a decade, around a decade.
Very
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, the Booker T announcement actually inspired me. I reached out to Isaac yesterday about bringing them in because those are fantastic records, and I'm glad to be able to put them on the shelves. You know, the meters, you did the Martin Denny stuff for them, and
Is it only 500 total or just 500?
No, that's just the colored vinyl ones.
Oh, so
Kevin, put those back up again for the viewers so they can see them.
Sure. Let's see if I can get this
I only have one of those
without too
originals.
much of a glare.
Yeah.
There we go.
this is just
Right
hard.
there.
That's one. 2. Hard to get without a glare.
Yeah, I know.
These are rare records. They're hard to get. They're expensive. I mean,
And they're always
that's the only one I have. I have an original of that. That's it.
I want those now. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Victor, I'll butcher his name, is Slosorenko, I believe. It's something like that. He's a great guy. I enjoy doing work for him. He's always very, very nice, very good to deal with.
Wow.
So, Mike Esposito, tell me. I mean, I'm always curious about sales and where vinyl market's going. I mean, you're really much at the heart of that. I mean, with your shop, the Ingroove. I mean, you do a lot of business there, clearly. And where are you seeing things going into the last quarter of 2023, going into 2024? Have we seen it peak in terms of audiophile vinyl, like more expensive vinyl? Like, where are things right now from your perspective and what you're seeing from the sales perspective out there from your store and your website?
I mean, there's a more of wait and see attitude. People want to wait, hear reviews, see what things, how they're reviewed in the marketplace before they pull the trigger. I mean, everybody realizes at this point things don't need to be pre-ordered the second they come out. So they're waiting. But I think if it's a solid release, it's still selling well. The big difference is it's one copy. There was a point in time where if I had a limit 5 on a one-step or a UHQR, many people bought the Max. And that's not really the case right now. So it seems like there's a little bit of a softening, but I don't know if that's entirely. I think most of that is just because people are buying one of. I think the duplication is kind of not a thing anymore. So it's still going pretty strong, but it relies on, it's title dependent. If it's a rehash of an audiophile title, they don't do as well as something that's new and fresh. The White Stripes has been really successful for me. I've done more White Stripes than the Love Supreme UHQR. We're a lot closer. The Love Supreme already came out. So the fact that the numbers of a pre-order are higher, I mean, that's a good indication that people want something kind of new. And they're willing to pay for it if it's, a new item. Not something they have.
So you're seeing strong demand for Elephant then is what I'm hearing.
Elephant's been popular. That's the best. I mean, it did better than Love Supreme. I mean, that's a strong because it's something new. And I mean, granted, there's analog cuts of that, but of that caliber.
Nope.
I mean,
Put it back up.
I love this. This is great. It turned out really, very well. And I didn't have the other Analog Productions version of it. So to get this one is really, really cool because I'd only had a 90s limited edition version before. So I'm really happy with it. I think it sounds beautiful.
So, I mean, I think it's newer titles maybe people are looking for. I mean, the UHQR White Stripes Elephant is limited to 10,000. I mean, I don't see that selling out within a month like at least some of these titles did during COVID. But I think this one, 10,000, that might be an interesting number. You might see that one go within the year.
Well, there's less competition. The Love Supreme has Kevin cut for Chad a while back, a 45 RPM of that. Walmart's copies, all analog, cut by Ryan Smith. The acoustic sounds version is in print, all analog, using the same master. There's a lot of high quality versions of that Love Supreme, where the Elephant, not so much. So, I mean, there's a little bit more of a demand for a high quality version of that.
Well, I think it was Mazzy. Mazzy, you said your Elephant had noisy vinyl, right? Your version.
I have the one from 10 years ago, or I can't remember which one.
The 2013 you have.
It's really noisy because when I saw the listing for the new one, I'm not going to order it, but I put it on. It's so noisy. I don't know how I kept it. I think as I recall, I exchanged it twice, and it's one of the noisiest records in my collection.
Well, they did everything at United back in the day, and it was
Yikes.
It was scary.
I don't even
times.
want to sell it or give it. I mean, I don't want to be the guy to give that one record to somebody. But
I've been watching Tim, and I think Tim needs to order his Elephant White Stripes now from Mike. I think you got to get it going, or did you already?
I already.
You got that one?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
you know that
Hey,
looks
I'll talk about
promising.
the market for a minute. This is unscientific.
Yeah.
I was at the Rocky Mountain Record Show 2 weeks ago. I've been going there for 3 years. It's about 60 or 70 dealers. It's a 2-day show now. It used to be 1 day. And I go on the Saturday and I buy the early bird ticket for like $30. That was the crowdiest, the busiest early period I've ever seen of that show. Just rammed with people. It's about half a mile down from the new Vinyl Me Please facility in Rhino District of Denver. And I was there until about 3 in the afternoon. It was just elbow to elbow to elbow, packed, very, very busy. So I don't know if that's scientific at all about what the market looks like, but also here in Fort Collins, Colorado, we've had 3 new used shops open in the last 12 months. And this is a college town, but this is a medium market. You know, we're an hour north of Denver, but I think vinyl is alive and well.
Yeah, there was just an adjustment that is taking place, and that is pre-COVID, COVID, and now after COVID. And it took people a while to catch up. It took me months to catch up. I was ordering things during COVID at a certain level, and then it abruptly stopped. But me, Tad, other people were still ordering at that pre-COVID level, because we're ordering months out. So we're ordering titles at COVID levels, and then all of a sudden that comes to an end, but we still have that quantity coming in. So there was kind of an adjustment for all of us to kind of figure out, okay, wait a minute, things are a little different here. We need to adjust based upon that. And that's kind of why people are like, oh, things are different, because people are giving away, they're having big sales, but that's just, people try, and myself included, trying to clear up some inventory. But that adjustment has already taken place. Everybody is ordering different. I'm ordering different. Every retail store I talk to is ordering different. And it's going to get back to where it was. It's going to be a more it'll be a more healthy environment. The problem is a lot of people, though, that are online, a lot of guys are new to vinyl, and they don't kind of remember a time before COVID. So there's kind of a little bit of shock to the system because people are like freaking out. But I mean, this is more reminiscent of where it was, where it should be, because it's a more healthy flow of things. Everybody being slammed, things selling out in 10 seconds, manufacturers unable to make things, jackets being unable to be made. I mean, all of that was fun for a little while, but it's not healthy for the industry, and it's not a good way to it's not good at all. And I'm kind of glad it's over. I mean, it was fun. I made a lot more money back then, but this is a more sustainable platform to build from than where we were.
Here, I'm not going to pick on MoFi, but here's a comment from Dean Baker I wanted to read. MoFi has 700 pre-orders for Van Halen 1 from their site. He's saying the data is on the page source, 960 plus for the Springsteen one step currently.
There's no way that's accurate.
I don't think that's accurate at all.
I'm sure they probably have to, their back end, maybe they manually load inventory in the back end and it gets refreshed. And there's no way because I could just tell based off of my pre-orders. I doubt, I have a large percentage of their pre-order. There's a lot more that goes into that number.
Okay.
Keep in mind, most people too order from Music Direct, I think, over MoFi's website. Because
their credit card doesn't get charged, right? Whereas it would if you do it on the MoFi site. So people are like, okay, good, I'll just order it on the Music Direct. So
Music Direct has free shipping, and Mobile Fidelity's website does not either. And I think people don't like to pay shipping. I know I don't.
So Van Halen, they're coming out with Van Halen. I don't know who cut it, and maybe I know Kevin Van Halen. You cut some years back, right? You did the analog of those.
I did that back in the mid 2000s, first decade.
You did the DCC too, right?
No, I don't. Well, maybe it was. Yeah,
maybe
one was the DCC time.
Steve Westman on the DCC. I thought that both of you.
It would have been both. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking, I did a whole bunch of stuff for Tom Berry at Warner when he was VP at Warner. back around 2005. I was thinking it might have been in that group, but yeah, I guess it was before that.
Come on, Kevin, you can't keep track of the 5,000 records you've cut over the last 50 years.
You know, they just announced.
5,000. I'll bet you it's a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, well,
This is lead to a question to Michael. How do you do with the Rocktober series? I know they just announced them yesterday, the next Rocktober stuff, or at least there's a list out. You know, some of the usual suspects, but The Last Waltz, Talking Heads, I think they're cut by Sterling, Astral Week, some Yes stuff, Monkeys, some hits, but three MC5 records that I don't see a lot, Stone Temple Pilots, a Grateful Dead box, Madison Square Gardens, Cars, hits records. But do you do well on those? Because I know those are brick and mortar only.
and some of them just, there's always 10 to 15 titles, and there's always a couple that are just huge, like the Jane's Addiction.
This is like 30 titles here.
Yeah, this is a little bit of an expanded list, but the Start Your Ear Off Right and that Rocktober stuff typically does really well, and they're brick and mortar exclusives.
And they're usually they seem to be well pressed. And I know they do the color vinyl, voodoo stuff, but nice covers for the most part.
Rhino, for the most part, does a really good job and with everything. And I've always liked their approach to things. That's why this Rhino hi-fi was kind of perplexing to me from the beginning. But I've always really dug the Rocktober stuff. They send out promo items. They're the only manufacturer. They're really the only big label that does that. I mean, they'll send out, I remember for one of the titles they sent out, there was the Woodstock title, bandanas and bonus 7 inches. And that's not something, promo items aren't something you really see in this
lately. Steve has banned me from bringing up on this channel anything to do with Little Feat, because I push those Little Feat records to death. But those are friggin' great records.
I love Little Feat.
Yeah,
they do a great job. They do a lot of analog mastering, even though they're not what boggles my mind is they don't like to tell people for some reason. I don't know how many records that they've done over the years that you find out 10 years later are analog that they don't tell anybody. The Billy Cobham Stratus. It's like a secret. Like, what the hell's the? Like, that boggles my mind. But
anyone want to answer this one?
Yes,
Rocktober
Fragile was a fun title. I love that.
Which one?
Yes, Fragile.
Yeah.
And that one, Kevin, is still available, $25.
But they used to put a hype sticker on Who Cut. They don't always have Who Cut them, but they used to do a hype sticker. I remember going back to Summer of Love, I guess the 2017 series. I don't know if Kevin did any of those. Vanilla Fudge and
Judy Collins. I did the Judy Collins.
Bo Brummel's Triangle, and those are beautiful covers too. The like tipped on covers. But I'm going to make a I Love Little Feat Kevin Gray T-shirt. I think I'm going to have that as a merch item.
I love it. Anyone want to answer Dr. Bryant 23? Mike, do you know this? Kevin?
No, the thing is they don't tell people. And a lot of times they're great cuts. A lot of times Kevin's cutting them, Bernie's cutting them, and you don't find out until well after they're out. And the problem with some of those Rocktober titles in general is sometimes they're one and done and they're gone. If it's really successful, maybe they'll come back a year later. The Jane's Addiction was a good example of that. But you really don't get much information. They're really not forthcoming about that. But like normally that's a thing that you think, well, if they're not forthcoming about it, they're not going to be that good. But again, a lot of them are good. So that's very perplexing why they choose to do that.
Kevin, you want to answer this one?
That is the way the tape is. And I would have had no way of knowing that because I never got an original copy of it.
Okay.
Which album in particular?
Which meters?
There's three.
John, which meters album? Give us another comment.
Nice to see John Bandy here.
John Bandy, yeah. Exactly.
While you're looking for those comments, Kevin, did you cut Astral Weeks by Van Morrison for Rhino?
I did. And you know, there was a curveball on that because they didn't tell me that was going to be in the Hi-Fi series. It was mastered back in January before they ever announced. And so people were asking me, is that your cut? It's like, geez, I don't know. So I had to call up Patrick Milligan and ask him. He goes, yeah, it's your cut. It's like, oh, okay.
That's one I've been wanting, and if you cut it, I'll order it and buy with confidence. So
wait. Well, wait a minute. Maybe not. No, I'm thinking, what's the one they just released?
Streets in the
Street Choir.
Yeah.
Street Choir.
Yeah.
Not Astral Weeks then. Okay.
Well, I did an Astral Weeks. I don't know if that's the one that you're referring to. What when did it come out?
It's coming up. It's one of the Rocktober releases that's coming
Oh,
up.
it's probably from the metal parts from my cutting, I would think.
Okay.
I think I cut it the most recent of anybody. So yeah, it probably is.
That'll be
Nice.
great. Yeah.
But sorry, I can't. I got them mixed up. I can't say
That's
for
fine.
sure.
My Kevin, Talking Heads, no mastering info. Did Kevin do these?
Those are done by Sterling on the new ones.
Okay.
coming.
Yeah, no, you didn't think
Well,
so.
the new one, the new
Jason-
concert one was Ted Jensen as the remastered that one. Right?
Yeah, Jason said it's the same. It's Sterling. He didn't say who it's Sterling, but because they did the movie that just came out.
The true, yeah.
Stop
Well,
making-
it would be Ryan Smith because there's nobody else cutting for Sterling unless you're referring to old parts, but those would be really old.
No, the
or
recent,
remastering if it's from digital.
but the recent Talking Heads, the concert one that's been reissued, that was remastered again by Ted Jensen and cut by Joe Nino Hearns, I believe his name is. At Sterling, that just came out. It was a review on trackingangle.com. That one there, because Ted Jensen. And Joe Nino Hearns. I probably butchered his name as I normally do with
Are you
everyone.
talking about the Rocktober? I mean, that's Little Creatures.
No, I'm talking about the one Mazzy has right now, though.
Well, the Rocktober, Jason from Rhino answered a question to that the Rocktober are cut by Sterling. He didn't say who, but he said Sterling, same person who cut this.
Kevin, you did all the Talking Heads that have been in print for the last
Who's
10 years.
JRH at Sterling?
Joe, it's that Joe Nino. It's he's the one that cut it. He's a cutting engineer. His first name Joe. Sorry, I
No
He
idea
did.
who that is.
Is it the new kid in
Yes, I
town?
did a couple of Talking Heads, Mike, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, they were in print for about 10 years.
Kevin, thoughts here? This is an interesting question. We all want to know. We've heard about DSD before. So.
You know, that's yeah, they're not going to provide DSD. I mean, DSD, you have to have a specific workstation to cut from DSD. So no, they're not going to be making DSD copies, and they're already making high res 2496 or 24192 of most of the albums, and that's what's being sent to most people. I'm one of the few people. Bernie probably being the other main one, and Ryan, the three of us are probably about the only ones getting analog master tapes anymore. But yes, they're getting fewer and farther between. So, you know, who knows what's going to happen 5 years down the road? I can't predict.
Moondance, you've cut it twice, digital or analog, or did you cut it digital for the second time?
It depends on what you're talking about. I did the original album from the analog master tapes. There was a bonus LP put in, which I think they used the plangent process on. Of bonus material, and that was a high-res digital file.
Jamie Howarth, he's watching. He's probably happy right now. Plangent process. There you go. Melinda, you had a question for Kevin, I believe, that we were talking about before we got on live. Want to ask him?
Sure. Yeah. The Hotel California, when I hear that, it brings back a lot of sentimental memories of my childhood. And I just want to know what album or song brings back wonderful memories for you from your childhood.
That would be Whipped Cream and Other Delights by Herb Alpert. Why is everybody laughing? Okay. Am I giving away my age here?
The music?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that record.
It is a good record.
You know, it got a Grammy Award, best song that year for Taste of Honey. It was engineered by my favorite recording engineer of all time, Larry Levine. I mean, and that was the very first record I ever heard on a high-end stereo system in 1966.
Wow.
I knew it wasn't new at that time, but yeah. So yeah, a lot of great memories.
They are recorded really well, those records, aren't they?
Oh yeah, for its time, it was amazing.
I think that's a record everybody has in their collection, right? Like
No.
everybody has that.
Seems that way.
Yeah.
And that cover woman lives up here in the Pacific Northwest still. She's still alive.
Yeah,
I would love to have her autograph. That would be very cool.
Erickson, what's her first name?
I
I know the whole story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mazzy, on your Talking Heads, it's Joe Nino who cut that Talking
Okay.
Heads, and it
I
was
don't-
mastered by Ted Jensen from Sterling. They both work at Sterling.
Okay.
Fremer did a review on his website on that record. I gave it a 7 on sound. He didn't like the way some of it was mastered. They took a lot of the bass out or something. You have to read the article. It was quite interesting.
I think it's got a little compression in it. I mean, I have an original. Obviously, the original doesn't have all the music because it's truncated. But it sounds really good. I mean, I put it on. It's an album to turn up and blast and just enjoy it. So I don't really A/B stuff like that.
Well,
But I can tell it's a little.
The first track, Psycho Killer. So when he gets on stage, he presses the ghetto blaster. I've got a cassette to play, but they don't even play that. That part's not even on the album. It's a good part. That's apparently. I don't know. This is my readings of Fremer article this morning. So yeah, go figure. But it's going to be re-released in the theaters again. I'd have to see that.
Yes, it is.
Is it IMAX?
They're actually going to be appearing together, which is crazy.
Rare.
Wow, I think that will be
separate tables probably.
That'll be a great show.
That's going to be a good. Yeah.
Talking Heads is one of my favorite bands of all time.
They're just going to be answering questions.
Yeah, they're not playing together. They're just going to be at the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Scott Wheeler, A&M did a lot of great recordings. I mean, you think about A&M, I mean, Supertramp, Crime of the Century was engineered by Ken Scott. I know Ken is I guess Kevin's a huge fan of Ken Scott's work. I mean, that I think is an incredible production, incredible album, incredibly engineered. So, I mean, you never mastered that one, did you? Crime of the Century?
No, I didn't. I'd love to get a crack at that.
I think so.
Question though, was he specifically talking about the label or the studio? Because that was not done at A&M, but a lot of great stuff was recorded at A&M too. You know.
Yeah,
that's all the old Charlie Chaplin studios, right? A&M when they
A&M had Glenn Johns and John Arbitrating. Okay, yeah, but that wasn't done at A&M, I don't think. And Ken Scott worked for Supertramp. Yeah,
Scott's just saying the label in general, not
okay.
Just,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Quincy Jones, the dude, incredible sounding album recorded by the legendary Bruce Sweden. Swiding, yeah.
Swiding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd go along with that. I did a reissue on that I don't think ever came out.
Oh, really? And how about this stuff, Cat Stevens?
Oh, love that stuff. Yeah, one of my favorite recording artists. Some of my favorite recordings. Most of that was recorded at Morgan Studios in England, which I think is one of the great unsung studios of all time. Yeah, great stuff.
I wanted it
good, yeah.
Robin Black, I think, was the engineer on that stuff.
Okay.
And Paul Samuel Smith was the producer. Yeah.
Right.
So, Kevin, can we talk a little bit? You know, you obviously did the Kirsten Edkins album. You've recorded something else. I wanted to just quickly, the Hackensack West Studios right here. Can we talk a little bit about that, sort of your setup? I mean, trying to emulate sort of the Rudy setup. Is that sort of what we're seeing here in your studio, more or less, with the way everything's set up? Is it more of an emulation of that?
Well, that's a interesting question. The room is set up in a similar way in that the relationship of the piano to the drums is the way it was in Rudy's room, including the lamp in between the two.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
that's cool.
In the control room window is where the TV, you know, the flat screen TV is, which, you know,
right there. Okay.
Yeah. But, you know, I take a lot of liberties with how the mics that I use and the way they're placed. The Neumann U47 is one that Rudy used a lot. And on Kirsten's record, I used it on the piano and the saxophone. So that's half the instruments right there. But, yeah, I'm trying to emulate a whole bunch of recordings from that era. You know, the stuff that was on Columbia, the stuff that was on contemporary Atlantic to some degree. Well, of course, the Impulse, a lot of the Impulse and Prestige stuff was also done by Rudy. But yeah, so there's a tip of the hat, but I don't want to say I'm copying what they were doing.
And so then we have the Hackensack West here. But look at this. Tell us a little bit of this now. I mean, what are we looking at here in terms
That's
of your...
my main mastering room. Okay. And that also becomes the control room when I do recording in Hackensack West. I push my new recording console right in front of where the console is placed there, and then use the same monitor system for listening when I'm recording. And that's the same lathe that I use with the tube system, although the cutting amplifiers that you see to the right of the lathe, that's the solid state system. You can see the tube rig in that 17-minute video that's on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. So the new album that you recorded, when can we expect that to be pressed?
I
know
wish I
everyone's
could
asked
make
you
some
that.
sort of a prediction. Here's the story on that. So we recorded the album June 20th and 21st, I believe. And it's Anthony Wilson and Jeff Hamilton and Gerald Clayton and John Clayton. So it's a quartet. Anthony Wilson being jazz guitarist. And very, very excited about it. It came out great. Everybody that's heard it has been pretty thrilled. I gave Mike a sneak preview when he came out.
It was a weird experience because he goes, "I'm going to play you a track," and he puts it on. Now, I have never heard a thing in this room. So he starts playing the track, and at first I was confused because I really didn't know what I was listening to. But that particular track starts off with Gerald Clayton and Anthony Wilson both playing piano and guitar, but they're doing it in a unison type of fashion. So it actually sounds almost like another instrument, and then they eventually break off. But it was a trippy experience because listening to it in a studio there for the first time, not really knowing what I was listening to, it was. I think it's going to be quite a good album. But that was, from a musical standpoint, it was a really cool track.
Yeah, so those guys play together all the time. They're both in one of the 3 trios that Charles Lloyd recorded, and I saw them live nearby here at the Soraya Theater, and they play really well off of each other. So anyway, so the album's recorded; it's in the can, as it were. But with Anthony out on tour, well, I should also mention the day after we recorded the album, Anthony and John and Jeff all left to join Diana Krall on her tour up in Canada. So it's like these guys are working musicians. Gerald, of course, didn't because Diana plays piano for Diana. But he's really busy doing stuff too. But trying to get the time for Anthony to be able to listen to the songs and the takes that we did, because we did up to 2 or 3 takes on a couple of the tracks, and then figure out a sequence. Joe has kind of got that almost kind of figured out, but of course he's got to run that by Anthony and see what he says.
So are you going to do the same as before, where with Kirsten's album, I think he started with 1,200 or 1,300 pressed at first, and then you run the next one? Is that?
I think we're going to double that. We'll probably double that for this release.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how are the sales been for the Kirsten album?
Well, I don't like to discuss numbers, but it's doing really, really well.
Yep.
That's all I can say. And Mike has got the 4th pressing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we got a pallet of it yesterday. So we got a wall of Kirsten Atkins records here at the Ingroove now.
Well, I'm going to go back to this for a second, Mike. I mean, I know go to Mike's website, the Ingroove is ingroove.com, but he puts up his top 100 in print analog records here. And before we got on air, we just noticed that, look, out of the top 4 right there, 3 of those are a Kevin Gray cut. And of course, the Kirsten Atkins album is there as well. So amazing.
Yeah. What's the one off to the left? Can't read it.
Kind of blue on the bottom left. So you got What's Going On.
Yeah, no, I've got those. What's the lower left?
Yeah, that's kind of blue. The
Elephant, white stripe.
What? No, kind of blue.
For the 4th, in terms of a marketing thing, I come from the marketing side when I was in the business. You should have done the 4th version pink and rode the Barbie wave. Done a sort of a pink tint.
Would you believe the first one that my artist came up with was kind of pink because he was trying to go with the flesh tone, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, no. If we're going to color this, I'd rather go with a purple. Okay, fine. So that's what we did. Yeah,
you could have gone like Oppenheimer, Barbie,
right.
Cohearent,
right.
Pink.
You want to answer that one, Kevin?
Yes, sure. Yes, I think it. Well, it's never out of print. It's just temporarily out of stock. Let's put it that way, because it's not a limited edition, and we're going to keep it in stock. So yes, there's a few people that don't have it right now, but they will be getting it Shortly,
So
right, Mike?
hang on, put that up for a second again, Mazzy. But Kevin's not doing FOMO. He's actually, it's not limited, so we'll be able to get it for everyone. There you go.
Right.
So nice.
This is the thing too. If it is out of print at your store in Tokyo, you should tell them to contact Mike at the Ingroove, and we can remedy that situation.
Exactly.
So
there you go. Absolutely.
She's playing a tenor saxophone. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, she actually played soprano on one track.
Oh, okay. I played tenor saxophone in high school. Nothing like her, of course, but
No, that's cool.
I can appreciate how hard it is to play.
Right.
Mhm.
Understood.
So I want to get to some questions here before the top of the hour here again. Let me just see here. Sorry, guys.
Boy, it's been a fast hour.
It always is when you're on this show, Kevin. Come on. Kevin, question for Kevin. How long did you work for Rhino? Will their handmade series ever see the light of day on LP? From the buck stops here.
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
How long did I work for? I never actually worked for Rhino.
You're contracted to Rhino, right? You have a contract.
No, it's not considered a contract, but yeah, I do mastering for Rhino. I've done it for over a decade. Well, actually, going back to 2005 is when I started doing work for them.
Which label pays for your monthly electrical bill?
Yeah, easily.
What he's asking, the handmade was what came out during the CD era, where they had just direct certain special box sets, Delaney and Bonnie, Beau Brummel's, a lot of.
I don't think I did any of that. That was all back in the Bill England.
And the only one that I know that came out eventually, the Beau Brummel's expanded Bradley's Barn, came out on Run Out Groove. They did a version of it licensed from Rhino. So I don't know if anything else has come out. Delaney and Bonnie, the big live with Clapton box set, all the shows came out as a handmade thing, but not on vinyl as far as I know.
Yeah, I don't think I was involved in any of that I know of.
Yeah. Okay, Mike Esposito, you're going to hate me because I talk about Rhino High Fidelity, and obviously them getting to do the Sabbath catalog would be great with Kevin cutting them. You know, we all know Leland. Leland's asking Kevin, what shape are the Sabbath tapes in?
Well, the only one that I've seen is was it the second album? Yeah,
Paranoid?
That's the only one I've actually done in the past.
Master of Reality or Paranoid? Yeah,
the one with the big hit, Iron Man. You know, what is that?
Paranoid.
Paranoid. Yeah, thank you.
Is that the third album?
Master tape on that was in great condition. I don't know. We'll see.
I want to see the debut album, self-titled. I've been talking about it.
That's quite a grin you got there, Kevin.
What's that?
What does that mean? We'll see.
Anything.
Interesting. Very interesting.
That will be interesting.
Actually, I got to tell you, there's some. I can't reveal it, but there's some great titles coming up.
And you're talking November 17th is the next release of the Rhino Hi-Fi series.
November. You know what that's going to be?
Do I? How would I know?
Oh, all right.
Do you know the quote, Chad's quote, 2 weeks? It's always 2 weeks.
Big announcement. Yeah.
Right.
Well, he finally did it. He got the white stripes. That took more than 2 weeks times. I don't know how many weeks that was, but yeah.
You know, I'm okay with them doing Jaco Pastorius and Van Morrison at 5,000 units, but if they do Black Sabbath at 5,000 units, I'm going to lose.
I think if they do Black Sabbath, it's minimum 10,000, sort of like what the White Stripes is. I mean, they can easily sell 10,000 the first day it comes out.
It's so frustrating because
that's not in their business model, though.
I know.
It's so frustrating because those records should be in print at high quality because the versions that are on the shelf now are so mediocre. I mean, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. But it's frustrating. We need high quality versions of those records.
Mike, do you have a copy of the UK original pressing of Black Sabbath self-titled?
Probably 5.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I mean, that's the thing. I want to be able to compare, an AB the UK version to a Kevin Gray if it ever comes up.
Yeah, the Vertigo stuff is quite good. I really dig the the first couple albums. Vertigo label is amazing.
Oh, it is amazing. No, well, we're going to leave it at that. It's already the top of the hour. Kevin, it's already an hour.
Wow.
How time flies when we're having fun.
There we go. Well, thank you everyone for this wonderful hour. It's Labor Day weekend. Any plans? I'm not doing much, hanging out with the family. Anyone doing anything exciting this weekend at all?
We're taking the art walk up in Santa Barbara one day.
Nice.
Melinda, hanging out
some mums, I think. I don't really know. I don't have any major plans.
Don't lie. You're hanging out with Johnny Depp this weekend. We know.
Who? Johnny
With-
Depp.
Tim, how about you?
I'm going to try and figure out a filming schedule so I can catch up with Mazzy's output lately. It's crazy.
You know,
hard.
semi-retirement. And I love music. I'm coming full circle from my
Yeah.
record days after retirement back to music because I love it so much. I never
Well,
stopped.
Mazzy, let's make the announcement before we get off the air. A week today, you're going to be with me here.
Bobby in that room.
Yeah.
Bobby in the same room? Or are we going to be separate laptops?
Yeah, I don't know, but it will be fun. We'll do an afternoon of Vancouver. We'll hit some record store, do some lunch, and do this live here. That'll be a fun time. So that's a week today.
I'll be in Vancouver. I have my pack mule.
You've heard of drug mules? He's a vinyl mule.
Bringing
That's what you
vinyl
are.
up to Canada. See if I get through
Yeah.
customs.
All right. Well, Mazzy, Kevin, Tim, Melinda, Mike, it was a fun hour. Thank you so much. Have a great long weekend.
Thanks,
Nice
guys.
meeting
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.